Texas legislature is getting close to moving forward on its controversial voting rights legislation. The Texas House today was just a handful of members short of the number needed to hold a vote. Democrats have managed to block that vote so far after dozens of them left to Washington more than a month ago. But several have now returned. Adding to the pressure, House Republicans have passed a measure authorizing the arrest of those who left. One of those Democratic holdouts, Democrat Trey Martinez, is still in Washington. He joins us now, along with Republican Travis Clardy. Gentlemen, thank you both for being here. Representative Clardy, I'm going to start with you. The Texas House Speaker just signed dozens of arrest warrants for your Democratic colleagues, a move that you authorized. Do you want to see them arrested?
I want to see him come home. I want to see him in the Texas House. So whatever we have to do to achieve that, but I would really hope that my Democratic colleagues will come back home, come to the floor of the House, and let's get back to work. So, but I know that I think that is reflective of the desire and really the really heartfelt emotion that the Republicans have to allow us to get back to work, and we've not been able to do for going on 6 weeks now. So, yeah, there's a real again, desire, passion for us to get back to the work of the people of Texas. And so I hope they'll come back voluntarily, but if not, that's why we have the rule.
So where do things stand right now with this election bill? Could law enforcement physically force them into this chamber to vote on it?
Again, I don't purport to be a criminal attorney and know the particular mechanics of it, but yes, I think that they can, their persons can be compelled to attend or to appear, just like if a person fails to appear for jury service, the court can issue a warrant for them to be compelled to appear before the court, explain why they weren't there. I think it's very similar. So yes, I think that through the operation of law, through a licensed peace officer, they can be physically brought back to the Capitol. Yes.
Now, you have said on this program before that you're a fan of bipartisanship. So how do you think these two parties are going to be able to work together after this?
Well, that's why I'm good to see Trey there briefly on the screen with us. I'm hoping that when we do get back together, there's a lot of relationships, a lot of people. I truly, dearly love the people I serve with, both Republicans and Democrats. There are some strained relationships. That's absolutely true. But sooner or later, I think we will come back to normal, and we'll rely upon our historic relationships and try to repair the damage which has been done. But at the end of the day, we serve the people of Texas. We serve our districts, and any personal animosities or frictions will be put aside. We will, I think, come back to do what the Texas House has always done, and that is work together for the good of the people of Texas.
So let's talk about the rationale behind this voting measure, because you have said on this show that this has nothing to do with the 2020 presidential election, but rather that there have been anecdotal problems in smaller local elections there in Texas. So are Republicans there proposing any effort to try to quantify or study voter fraud in the state?
Well, that's already been done. I mean, in a real sense, through the Secretary of State's office, but also through the Office of Attorney General, the voter integrity unit there. So we do have statistical data to show that this has been an increasing trend in Texas. Again, it's not epidemic, it's not rampant, but that's what we're trying to head off. When you see a problem, you nip it in the bud, and that's what this bill does. It builds upon existing election law. This is not some radical departure of election law. This isn't a major wholesale change of what Texas has done historically. This really does, it hits issues around the edge, some of the problems which really appeared or manifested or some weaknesses that were shown because of the COVID pandemic and how we tried to respond to that and have effective and safe and secure elections during that challenge to our entire system. This is like any other institution. We face a challenge in our elections. I think we came through it very well in Texas. I've told you before. I think we had a very good set of elections in the primaries in March. I think we had a very strong election in November, which I have great confidence in. But that doesn't mean there weren't problems and that we don't do what we always do every 2 years and look at our election laws and see what we need to do to fix problems, address things, and make sure we have clarity that the state of Texas, in our 254 counties, they can run their elections and everybody play by the same set of rules and have good elections and maintain that tradition.
So what's your message to your Democratic colleagues like Representative Martinez, who are so against this law, they left the state for a month just to fight it?
Well, one thing Trey now have now something else in common. I'm just coming off of my own bout with the Delta variant and the COVID, and have tested negative, been cleared medically to be back in the Capitol. And I know Trey struggled with it a few weeks back. So, but, I will tell you that's one of the issues. To get a little off the elections topic, that I am concerned. I appreciate the report you just ran about the medical situation in Texas and the strain on our resources and healthcare professionals. This is an issue that we need to take up and be here to be present. So, a message to my Democratic colleagues would be, come home. I think there are things on the horizon. There are issues beyond what's on the call that we need to deal with, and Texas is better with us here working together than we are separate and just right now we're high centered, we're just stuck and can't move forward or backwards, can't do anything. I don't think that's helpful for anybody. So, everybody's entitled to have their own beliefs and opinions and argue for or against bills and work to make them better. But I don't think anybody's served by, further just, staying away and not answering the bell, not being here on the floor of the House. I think, there's no more good going to come from it. The only thing that's going to come out of it, I'm afraid, Diane, is relationships will be strained further. It's going to be harder to reconcile. But again, there's a bunch of us that are committed to working together, and I think they will. I really hope it won't necessitate somebody knocking on their door with a warrant and bringing them back. I would love to see all of them here tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Trey, that's our start time, so hope you can be here with us.
All right, Representative Clardy, and we are glad to see you recovered from COVID. I know you got it despite being vaccinated, and we will continue to follow your efforts there in Texas and the efforts to get people there vaccinated as well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, and I encourage everybody in Texas to get vaccinated. Let's be safe. Let's be careful. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Clardy. And now let's bring in Texas Democrat Trey Martinez Fisher, who is still in Washington. Representative Martinez Fisher, thank you. First of all, I want to pick up where we left off there on the health crisis in your home state. Is this the time to be away from your constituents?
Well, I'll tell you what, we learned in 2020 how to adjust to the pandemic, serve our constituents in a very virtual world. I will tell you, given the call of the special session, you heard the health readout from the experts back home, but yet we have a governor that intends to defy and prohibit with a mask mandate and to make that illegal in the state of Texas. We have children that are too young to get vaccinated, but yet our governor will not allow our public schools to find a way to let them wear masks, protect children, protect teachers, protect school employees. And so, yes, I mean, killing this special suppression session will also kill those bad ideas that are really filling up our hospitals and our ICUs.
So let's talk about your strategy at this point with this voting bill, because you've been pushing in Washington for federal voting rights legislation to counter this Texas bill. But overnight, Senate Democrats failed to advance that issue, and now it's tabled until September. So what more can your caucus do here?
Well, first, we need to point out the failure. The failure wasn't the Senate Democrats. The failure was Senator Ted Cruz, who objected to unanimous consent to move forward. We have to be very, very clear about that. If there's anybody who's pushing voter suppression here in Washington, D.C., it is U.S. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas. That being said, Senator Schumer made it very, very clear that when the Senate comes back on September 13th, that For the People Act will be the first item taken up. So this fight is not lost. This fight has been delayed because of an obstructionist senator from Texas. But we will continue to have that fight and make no mistake. I mean, the country has been talking about voting rights. I think we now know that there is no chance of a bipartisan solution. So I urge the Senate, when they go home and they recess and meet with their constituents, to ask them whether our democracy is worth it, that we have to set aside rules and traditions of the Senate to protect our Constitution and protect our right to vote.
And I know you haven't had much success in trying to persuade Republicans from Texas on this issue. How has it been trying to meet with Republicans in Washington on this?
Well, I'll tell you, there are some that will actually have a conversation. Many of them have really, sort of waited to see what the final proposal is going to look like. And we know that the new version of S1 was just released in the last day or so. And so I think that's a legitimate reason not to take a position. But now that we know what's in S1, I think it's important now for Republican senators to be on record as to where they stand. Are we going to put voters first? Are we going to put our Constitution first? Or are we going to put, partisan interests before the voters? And I think that's a very good question for people to ask as they see their senators back in their home states for the next month.
Now, Texas Democrats seem to have different ideas about the way forward from here. Some have already returned to the state and they're back to work. Meanwhile, Representative Ana Maria Ramos tweeted on Monday, "You all threw us under the bus today." So what's next for your party, and how long are you prepared to stay in Washington?
So I'll be very clear. Until sometime this morning, there was no reason, there was not a warrant compelling our attendance. There was no reason to be fearful of arrest or detention until this morning. And so now that that has happened, is the Republicans who claim to want us back so much to engage in bipartisan talks, they want to bring us back in leg irons and in handcuffs. And so to me, I think our next step is to do what we always do, especially when we feel like the government is trying to pick on their political opponents. We're going to go to a place where we're all equal, and that's going to be in the courtroom. And so we're evaluating all of our strategies. We have lawyers who are representing us, and we've even had some court action take place today and already have provided relief to some of our colleagues to give them a judicial protection from anybody seeking to detain, threaten, or arrest a member for the purposes of returning them back to Austin. So I fully expect that we're going to continue to do that and make sure that when we go back home, we can negotiate, we can talk, but nobody's going to force us against our will to go to the floor of the Texas House.
All right, Representative Trey Martinez-Fisher, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.